everybody, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to another entire history of. Today I'm doing the entire life and death of Agnes Crumplebottom. She is a character, she's a legend, big fat legend. You probably recognise Miss Crumplebottom from The Sims 1, or at least I do, that's where I know her most heavily. Does that make sense? I don't know, I've recorded a lot of videos today. But she came with The Sims Hot Date, which is truly fitting. And The Sims Hot Date, let me tell you, would never make it to the shelves now, because The Sims 1 was a lot less family friendly and a lot more raunchy than current Sims games. I've said it before, I'll say it again, there was strippers in The Sims 1, but that's where she first made a mark in the game, and she presented herself as the mean, bitter old lady who would smack your Sims over the head with a handbag if she saw any romance going on. So love that for her. I mean, do what makes you happy. But if you didn't already know, the Sims game actually runs on a timeline, with each game in a different timeline, excluding The Sims 4. That's on an alternate timeline where nothing makes sense and everything hurts, and it's one of the biggest mistakes that the Sims team done, in my opinion. But I was having a really good time with the lore, L-O-R-E, not L-A-W. I loved the mystery, and The Sims 4 was just kind of there in terms of lore. But anyway, The Sims 3 is the earliest timeline to some extent, because each world within The Sims 3 is on a different timeline. But Agnes Crumplebottom came with The Sims 3 base game, which is the earliest timeline in the series. And then from that is The Sims 1, so everybody's a little bit more grown up. And then The Sims 2 is when everybody's the most grown up or dead. We start off in The Sims 3, and the family starts with Simon and Prudence Crumplebottom. So Prudence was a good Sim. She was a coward as well though, but she was also family oriented and a genius who loved the outdoors. And Simon was again a good family oriented coward, but he was also neat and frugal, so good on them, like not bad traits to have. Together they had 2 children, the first one being Cornelia, who was the firstborn daughter, obviously I've just said that anyway, and Agnes, who we now know as little old Crumplebottom. What's interesting though is that Simon and Prudence aren't actually married in the family tree. They've both had the same kids together, but there's no marriage thing there, and I don't know if this is just because one Sim died first, so then it didn't register them as being married anymore. I'm not sure, but it would strike me as weird because they're both family oriented. Not that you can't be from a single parent household and be family oriented, you can. There's also an age gap of 20 days between Cornelia and Agnes, the 2 daughters, so either they were friends with benefits for a very, very long time and had 2 kids over the span of that, or it was just an oversight or a mistake in the game. I'm gonna go for the first option because Jeremy Kyle's been cancelled in the UK, so I need to get my drama where I can get it. Thank you for letting me have that. Cornelia is actually more relevant than you might think she is. At a first glance you might not really recognise her, but she is relevant. I'll fight your corner, Cornelia. She was originally known as Cornelia Crumplebottom. Now Matthew, tonight she is going to be Cornelia Goth. That's right, Cornelia Goth, part of the Goth family, mother of Mortimer Goth, mother-in-law to Bella Goth, and grandparent to Cassandra and Alex. But obviously your life is more than just being a mother, so outside of motherhood she's a charismatic but also unflirty and a grumpy Sim. She's neat and she has a streak of perfectionism. She's unemployed, but honestly what's new, because it's a running theme in The Sims that the women gave up all the dreams to raise a family and the man's the one who goes out to work. And I'm not just being dramatic with that, I'm not trying to spread an agenda with that. That's just a reoccurring theme that I've seen throughout all of these entire history of. I think there's been 1 or 2 women that have actually went out and got the dreams. Apart from that, the childhood descriptions are always like, she dreamed of being an amazing footballer, she dreamed of being a super famous successful singer, but then she decided to have children, so now the husband's a successful one. That's been a running theme, so not shocked. And Cornelia's husband, Gunther Goth, is also grumpy and charismatic, but he's also frugal, brave, and a workaholic, which honestly suits his career because he is a CEO of a company, which must be why he's able to wear that eccentric hat and have eccentric dress style, because if he was just a little old sales assistant, they would not let him wear that stuff. And that's not me judging, I don't think that stuff's bad, it's just the truth. The lower people are like, you can't have tattoos, you can't do this, but then if you're at the top, it's like, I can do whatever I want, I'm the CEO of the company. Their son Mortimer Goth, who we all know, he's been in every single version of The Sims. He's also grumpy, but he's also ambitious and artistic, so he's actually got quite a lot going for him. Good for you, Mortimer. Shame that your wife gets stolen. They're all grumpy as well. To be honest, I wouldn't want to share a house with the Goths. So this leaves us with our beautiful angel Agnes. She's also grumpy, which is big fat shock, what's new, which is also frugal, a bookworm, and then sadly a hopeless romantic and a loner, and we'll talk about that, why it's sad, in a little bit. She's actually recently been married, but she's kept amazing maiden name, and this is where the sadness starts. I always thought she was just a bitter old lady, and she is. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of knew a backstory, but I didn't expect it to be as sad as this, and I now stan Agnes Crumplebottom. This is what a house looks like in The Sims 3, and I'm not being funny, but there is a saying that says, don't get bitter, get better. I think she got bitter and better because this house is obscene. I'm not saying it's the best architecturally, but can we really expect that? I mean, a lot's going on here, which is okay because there's also a lot going on in Agnes's life, and a house reflects that. It is quite a modern build compared to the things that she's got in it, and the way she dresses. She dresses kind of 1940s. I mean, like, you do you, babe. It's not a good look, but you do you. I'm here to support you no matter what, Agnes. The house is, I mean, it's very cold, isn't it? It's very hostile. There's no real personality to the house, in my humble opinion, and the exact same can be said of Agnes as well. I mean, all Sims 3 Sims look like a potato. I personally enjoy that look, but she looks very something.
Wow.
Not nothing. Something. But isn't it kind of a big house just for one person? If you're thinking that, hens, I'll tell you what, you are correct. There's absolutely no need for it to be that big. Over in this corner, we also have a nursery that's not fully complete. It looks like it was in the middle of being renovated because half the walls are off. We've got this theme going on here with the blue matching stuff. Obviously, some dreams died along the way. Over here is actually the grave of Eric Darling. This is actually Agnes's husband, and he died before they were able to have a child together. That's why the nursery is still unfinished, and that's why the older she gets, the more bitter she gets. And it's also sad because his grave is still on the lot. So if any potential husbands or wives or whoever try and come start a relationship with old Agnes over here, the ghost of a dead husband stops it. So that is why she ends up being so bitter. And now I feel very, very sad. 100% if I had a husband and we were planning a child together and we lived in a beautiful house together, and then he died and my dreams of having a child never came to fruition, and then everything was haunted by my husband's grave, then I am sure I would also turn into a bitter old lady, because can you imagine having this house all to yourself? I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I'd do my head in. I'm also an idiot, but I've just realised the reason that she's in black, she's mourning. That's why she's in mourning. God bless her soul. Love you, Agnes, babe. So that's Agnes's story in The Sims 3, and from this we move on to The Sims 1, where Agnes is old now. She's fully went into that bitterness. She came with The Sims Hot Date, which is the perfect expansion for her to be in, because The Sims Hot Date was all about romance and taking your Sims out on dates and giving them a little peck on the cheek and everything like that. And then Agnes storms in with her handbag ready to clap it round your Sim's head if they even look at each other in a slightly flirtatious way. So obviously she's still mourning the death of her husband, and that's just transformed itself into bitterness and not allowing anyone else to feel love. I mean, at least she's consistent about it, you know. A fun fact is that in The Sims 3, Eric Darling's supposed to be a husband and she kept a maiden name, but in The Sims 1 it doesn't say Eric Darling's a husband. Apparently her husband is someone called Robert Crumplebottom, who died when a chandelier fell on him. Tragic way to go. But I don't think that she has two husbands. I don't think that the first one was Robert and then the second one was the other one. I think that this is an oversight by EA, which I can't blame them for this one, to be honest, because Agnes Crumplebottom in The Sims 1 was actually an NPC character, which means non-playable. So her backstory is probably not at the forefront of the Sim Guru's mind either when they're making these new stories, but it's just interesting to point out that there's something not quite right there. And I did actually try and load up The Sims 1 in an attempt to show you Agnes Crumplebottom working her magic, slapping my Sims across the head. But The Sims 1 is the hardest game known to man, and I'm not telling you a lie there, and I ended up nearly ruining Bella and Mortimer's relationship. Got a visit from the sad clown or tragic clown, made Bella depressed, etc, etc, etc. So just enjoy this sped up version of me trying to make it work. It also has made me really want to play The Sims 1. So if anyone wants a little mini LP of me playing The Sims 1, which will be more fun focused and just having a laugh rather than story focused, let me know, hit me up, because that is something that I would absolutely love to do. And then from this we move on to The Sims 2, where Agnes and her family dead, buried in the Goth family graveyard. However, her bitter spirit still lives on. It still reigns, and it lingers through a distant relative called Mrs. Crumplebottom. A lot of people think that these two people are the same, and I don't see why not, because they both look exactly the same and they both have the same bitter attitude, but they're not actually the same people. Agnes Crumplebottom is a great aunt to Mrs. Crumplebottom, who came with the Sims 2 nightlife, and she basically does the exact same thing. She'll still slap your Sims around the head, but they're not the same person. And a fun fact of what she holds in her bag is knitting needles, lint, and a portrait of her great aunt, the now deceased Agnes. So that's everything I have for you today. God bless her soul, to be honest. I really connected with Agnes throughout this full experience, and I feel for her. My heart goes out to her. I think she's one of my not most loved. I don't think I love her. I really feel for her in The Sims 3 because of the whole nursery not being complete. That pulls at my heartstrings, I'm not gonna lie. But Sims 1 Agnes, she was big. I don't trust her as far as I can throw her when it gets to The Sims 1, but The Sims 3 Agnes, she has my heart and I'll support her. This is also a series, so there's so many other videos I do on the entire history of The Sims. If there's any that you want me to do, please make sure to leave them in the comments as well. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, guys.